time. It's our time, my friends. Time for millions of maturepreneurs, 55 plus, who are hashtag not done by a long shot, to revolutionize how we lead, do business, and innovate our world. I'm your host, Jannette Anderson, and welcome to my conversations with fascinating people who would rather inspire than retire. Confidently visible after 55? Society would prefer otherwise. So let's just say the quiet part out loud, shall we? Society gets real uncomfortable when women over 55 refuse to disappear. We're supposed to age gracefully, which often means be quieter, be less visible, take up less space, stop reinventing, stop wanting more, go take care of the grandkids, garden, relax, take it easy. You don't need to work so hard. And God forbid you become ambitious, outspoken, successful, visible, and older. When did we start believing we were supposed to fade? I've been thinking a lot about visibility lately. Not social visibility, or social media visibility, but human visibility. Because somewhere along the way, especially after 55, many people, particularly women, start receiving this subtle and sometimes not so subtle message. Don't be too loud. Don't be too ambitious. Don't reinvent yourself now. Haven't you done enough already? And maybe no one says it directly, or maybe they do. You feel it, though. You hear it. You see it in rooms, in conversations, in media, in how quickly people overlook experience in favor of novelty. And I think one of the bravest things we can do at this stage of life is refuse to fade. Today's guest, Christina Daves, and I actually share something in common. Neither of us started our business, well, our podcast in particular, from some polished business strategy. It started from frustration, frankly, being pissed off. For her, it was seeing ageism in media. And for me, it was seeing it on the marketer's cruise when I was overlooked, dismissed, and noticed that so were everyone else who was over 55 or 60. We saw ageism play out in real time and decided, nope, not on my watch. So for me, I've dealt with sexism, sizeism, and ageism was one ism too far. Maybe that's how movements begin. Well, it certainly started me moving in a particular direction, and Christina. So, not with certainty, but with the moment that we stop accepting invisibility as normal. Hello, everybody, and welcome to this episode of the Maturepreneur Podcast. I'm your hostess with the mostest, Jannette Anderson, and I'm here today with Christina Daves, who is a very patient woman. We've been going back and forth trying to get this book, so I am grateful that you persevere, Christina. Welcome.
Thank you. It's so good to be here.
So, of course, I'm going to tell you the official word. Then we're going to find out the, juicy, salacious details behind the scenes, what really makes her tick. I keep putting that out there, but no one's giving me anything really juicy yet. So maybe Christina will. So we'll find out. And we're going to be talking about reinvention in midlife and how to do that with confidence and visibility. So let me tell you about Christina. She's a lifestyle expert, speaker, and host inspiring women 50 plus to reinvent midlife with confidence, visibility, and joy. Based in Washington, D.C., she appears regularly on Fox 5's Good Day DC, the #1 morning show in the nation's 6th largest media market, and co-hosts The Lion Lunch Hour and Like It or Not. As the creator of the Living Ageless and Bold podcast and TV segment, Christina shares powerful stories of women redefining what's possible after 50. A successful entrepreneur turned media personality, she's proof that reinvention isn't about starting over, it's about stepping fully into who you've become. I love that distinction and couldn't agree more. So we're going to talk about media and all things reinvention and visibility. But before we launch into that, and I really want to find out about, the shows that you're creating and producing and so forth and part of. But tell me now something about you that people wouldn't guess that would surprise them when they found out.
Oh, isn't that good? Um, let's see. I had been asked to do a podcast for years and years and years and had absolutely no desire to do any kind of a podcast, like a PR related, business related. And then when we'll talk about how Living Ageless and Bold came about, but that just really sparked something in me. And actually, I'll tell you, well, people will probably know this, but a fun fact
Yeah.
is I won Steve Harvey's top inventor competition with a product that I had invented, and
That's
that put me on the map. So that's a pretty cool story.
I didn't know he had a competition like that. I didn't know you were an inventor, and yes, we want to find out about that. Okay,
Yeah, yeah.
that's awesome. So let's talk about reinvention. So let's talk about it in the context of your story because it does sound very much like you are walked your talk, and that's what prompted this. So, how did you
Yeah.
know you were not done, and how did you start this phase of your career, your
So
life?
it's really interesting. So my day job is kind of DIY PR. I was teaching small business owners how to get their voice heard, how to get out there, how to get on TV, magazines, newspapers. And it was great. I mean, I loved it because every client is a short term and I don't really think I have ADHD, but it works well. Quick clients like that. I do very well. I had a lot of success, but I just started getting like it, I love all my clients. I really do. But I guess it was the getting the clients was just getting just it was just I didn't like it anymore. I didn't like the monotony of the sales and the opt-ins and the summits and all this stuff. I love speaking, that I'm still doing. So anyway, I was doing this, I don't want to say begrudgingly, but somewhat begrudgingly. And I actually re-engaged with a coach that I had had before. I was like, Barbara, what do I want to do? Like, help me figure it out. And we did a lot of sessions, and basically, it was this podcast, and I wasn't sure, and I really didn't have the confidence. And I said to her, I said, "Who's going to listen to my podcast? What Jennifer Aniston could start a podcast, Reese Witherspoon could," and she said, gave me the best piece of advice that I want everyone listening to remember this. They're not everyday people. They're
Mm,
not like me and you. So yeah, they're great. And I love them and I would listen to their podcast, but they're not going to help women like us
mhm.
get to the next season, the next chapter, the next phase in our lives. And then a certain CNN anchor, and I don't care what side of the political fence you were on, said that Nikki Haley was past her prime at 56. And then it was uncovered that he was 56. And my husband will tell you, he literally saw the steam come out of my head. And I'm like, that's it. I am starting this podcast. We are going to share these amazing women with the world because no, 56 is not past your prime.
Yeah.
And that was almost 200 episodes ago. And we have almost 1 million downloads, and it's been an amazing ride that I never, ever, ever would have dreamed of because I was so opposed to doing a podcast.
That's awesome. Okay, so a couple of things that I want to know. First of all, getting pissed off about something is a really good motivation for A,
Yeah,
reinvention, B, getting into action, and C, really clarifying what are you a stand for and what are you a stand against,
yeah,
right? The Maturepreneur world came about the same way. I was the subject of ageism on a marketing cruise. Someone asked me, what do you do? And I'm mid-sentence answering him, and he turns and starts talking to someone else. I had never been kind of dismissed like that in my life. And I was like, what's going on? So I excused myself, go to the next group. Same thing happened. I was like, okay, must be me. Maybe I've got my light turned down because, they can't all be dicks. So maybe it's me. No, I started to observe in every person over 55, 60, especially the women with gray hair, were not only dismissed and overlooked, but they were literally invisible in some cases. And I was like, no, no, no. I'm on the subject of sizeism and sexism. I'm not putting up with ageism on top of all of that. So forget it. And I think that for our listeners, Tap into what pisses you off. What are you stand against? What do you see that, makes steam come out of your ear? That's a big clue as to what you care about and perhaps the path you want to go down. Okay, so you were doing publicity for other people, and I get it
Mhm.
that the business side of the business isn't all that
Yeah.
fun. The doing the thing, working with the clients, the getting
Love.
on
Yeah.
stage, that kind of thing is awesome. Um, so what made you decide to then focus on your own media? What was that kind of shift in your brain about?
Yeah. Well, like I said, I loved the podcast when I started it. I had been doing media. I've always walked the walk, but I started doing it much more regularly. So for the last 10 years, which puts me right at about 50, I was doing monthly lifestyle segments. I was on Good Morning Washington, which was ABC. And then my producer went over to the number one show at Good Day DC, and I kind of followed with him. I did both for a while. And I just love it. And then I was able to incorporate not only product segments and lifestyle segments, but these over 50 topics.
Mhm.
I was just on a panel last week. I brought two of my girlfriends in. We talked about empty nest. I brought one friend who's about to become an empty nester. I'm an empty nester with two kids in other cities. And then my other girlfriend is an empty nester with kids local and grandkids. So we had three great perspectives. But
Mhm.
now they're coming to me. They actually asked me to put that panel together. So I'm really making a name for myself there. And then we have a second home in Southwestern Virginia. And I have a regular segment about the podcast there on CBS that I do every single month, where I highlight some of my guests and topics. And it's just, it lights me up.
Yeah.
And I will tell you guys, if you want to get really fired up, I am 59 years old,
Yeah.
and I was just hired by a national company to do America's Steals and Deals all across the country, syndicated.
Cool. So what does
Yes.
that mean? What does that do? You're
So
hosting.
that means, yeah. So I go to New York next week, and I get hair and makeup, and they have products that I represent and I share with the audience, and I tell them, what I love about them. And it's syndicated all across the country.
That's
So I
awesome.
got my dream job at 59. And because I started all of this, I started the podcast at 56. I really started the TV stuff in my 50s. So it's never too late to have that dream. And in my 20s, if you had said, "Oh, Christina, you should be on TV," I would have been like, "No, absolutely not." Like, I have no desire. Even public speaking was a no go for me until well into my 30s. And now I still do that, and I still love that. But getting paid to do what you love at this phase in life is amazing.
Well, I just heard, and I had to write it down because I thought, ooh, that's a good little mic drop gem, that PR was a means to an end for you in the past, but now PR, media, etc., is a means to meaning, to be able to
Yeah.
allow you to live into the meaning that's important to you now, the message and the story and
The
the shift
message.
that you want to
Yes.
create. So it's shifted from a means to an end to a means to meaning, and I think that that's a really great indicator of us being on track and aligned with what we care about for this next chapter. So, and the difference we want to be in the world, because for me, and I'm curious for you, business is different now. Life is different now. I don't spend as much time proving my value as I
Right.
do just continuing to get it myself. And I don't spend as much time and energy and effort in terms of approval and all of the issues that went with that in previous life. What's different about you now than 10 years ago?
Yeah, I don't care. I don't care if you don't like me.
Yeah.
I don't need a million friends. I have a core group of friends that I count on, that I can count on for anything. And it's nice. It's
Yeah.
really nice to have that. I actually am loving empty nest. I mean, I miss my kids a lot,
Mhm.
but my husband and I are having a blast. And he had a cancer scare last year, and it was a really horrible year. And I've called this year my F it year. I say it full out. I don't know if you cuss on your podcast, but
Yeah,
um,
so loud.
Uh, we've been to Europe for 3 weeks. We went to Curacao for a week. We're going to see our son next week. I've got work in New York while my son lives in New York, so there's a bonus. Hey,
Yeah.
we're going to hire you to come to New York City. Are you okay with that? I'm like, well, yes, I am. So
Yes, as a matter of fact, thank you for covering the
I
cost of visiting my kids.
exactly. No, it's perfect. I'll see my daughter later this month, so it's just a whole new perspective. It's a life of purpose and passion and joy. Like we're really there's a lot of joy in my life and I really appreciate the little things that I think I was too busy worrying about everything else and what everybody thought and my kids and that now it's like a good time. It's a
Yeah.
good time to be me. I love it.
I love that line. It's a good time to be me. Okay, so I'm writing down the little breaks here where there's going to be a clip. So a couple things I'm curious about. So backtracking to this show that came up, you mentioned you're 59. It's reviewing products and services. I'm curious, do you think they hired you because it's a show that largely speaks to our demographic? Or, and so therefore they hired you because you are older? Or did they simply hire you because you're you? Because ageism
I
can work for and against us.
I honestly think they said they were looking for new talent.
Hmm.
And they wanted somebody who had been on news programs
Okay.
versus QVC, which I'm also an approved host for, but it's a different kind of storytelling, or story selling that you do on QVC versus what you do on because when you're watching QVC, you know you're being sold to.
Right.
That's an expect. You're watching. What am I going to buy?
Right.
Whereas morning television, people do buy, and the rate of people who buy is very high, but that's not the mindset. So you've got to speak to them differently.
Right.
And I'm not selling to sell. I mean, I love products. I invented a product. I won
Yeah.
Steve Harvey's top inventor competition. I love products. That's how I got on TV. I would go to speak on PR, nothing related to products, but I would pitch wherever I went and I would pitch a segment. Normally, I always pitch the same thing where I would highlight local inventors. So, as an inventor myself, so then I would go speak and I would show the slide and I'd say, I have never been to Denver, Colorado, but I pitched myself yesterday on Fox and here I am on TV. And people are like, oh, what? To show them how easy it really is to do it if you know what you're doing and you have a system and a good pitch.
Hmm.
So that was kind of my shtick, but I loved the TV and I loved highlighting the inventors and the products and especially the kid inventors, the stuff these kids come up with. So
Yeah.
anyway, so I now get to do what I love and I hope it's because they liked me and I don't think I look 59. So maybe they think I'm 40. I don't know.
It could be because you did mention, that in the media, oh, she's, 56, so she's not relevant anymore, et cetera, et
No.
cetera. Ageism is alive and well, and particularly in the media slash entertainment industry. And it's shifting a lot. There's actresses and so forth that are in their 80s and 90s that are still acting. It wasn't a thing 10, 15 years ago. Wasn't even thought of.
But
And the
Jannette,
same.
what's really quick, what's really interesting about that though, is for the
Mhm.
morning shows, the demographic is women over 40.
Yep.
That's who's watching their shows.
Yes.
So,
Well, but
hey, yeah.
it always has been, but they didn't realize that it was actually better to have someone who looks like them talking to them than, some middle-aged white guy, that it's actually more
Right.
beneficial to put people like them on in front of them. So
Right.
so
I
tell
used to
me,
say, because my daughter at the time went, same thing, like they're selling stuff to my 20, at that time, 24-year-old daughter. Well, she can't afford that. Guess who she's going to come to buy it?
yeah,
Me.
exactly.
So it's like, you should be selling to me,
Yes.
not to her.
Well, and on the topic of selling to a market, you're in this industry or this field. 79.5% of the wealth in the world currently is in the hands of boomers and Gen Xers. And what do they market to us? Stair lifts and Depends, adult diapers and drugs and Viagra and walk-in tubs, which a tiny percentage of this population need. The rest of us want business insurance and media training and adventure travel and solo travel and all of those things. And that's nowhere in terms of the market being able to kind of reach where we are and give us what we need, which is a rant that I go on quite often. What do you see shifting in media? And do you, because you're on the front lines, what do you see shifting in terms of how we're being talked to, approached, dealt with,
I
valued?
do think it's changing. And I do think we see it, with so many programs on now. We just got hooked on the Madison. I don't know if you all
Yeah,
haven't seen it, you got to watch it. I just want to watch the first 6 episodes again. I can't get enough of it. But, it's Kurt Russell and Michelle Pfeiffer.
yeah,
Michelle Pfeiffer's well into her 60s. I know she's older than I am.
yeah,
She's fabulous. She's fabulous. Devil Wears Prada.
yeah.
Meryl Streep. So I think that people are starting to pay attention to us. And another statistic, and I can't remember if it's 80 or 88% of all luxury purchases are controlled by women over 50.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, it's like a $14 trillion market.
Yeah.
So I think, and maybe it is just the availability of data now, that these companies are realizing who really holds the purse strings.
Yeah, I don't think so. I remember Kate Popcorn wrote Evolution, what, 25 years ago, about exactly that. Women control the
Yeah.
majority of purchases, not just consumer, and especially luxury purchases. And the market, like when you bought a car, oh my God, what a challenge if you were a woman on your own. Okay, so besides my rant, I really want to talk about you work with and encourage women who are 50 plus to find more confidence in their reinvention journey and more joy. What do you think is been for you the biggest struggle in your pivot, your expansion, your reinvention into really kind of what it sounds like is turning your business into something that you love more within your subject matter expertise. What did you find the most challenging in your pivot?
It was kind of what I said that I had talked to my coach about, like, why me? Who
Mm,
who wants to listen to me? Like, who is she? And what right does she have to come here and talk about this? And then I realized that, well, I started a TikTok, and that really gave me confidence because I was just talking, was just
yeah,
doing videos, and I get so many amazing comments, and people are like, "Oh my gosh, thank you. I needed that today." Or, "I'm about to become an empty nester. Thank you for helping me, with that." Or, my son's about to graduate and move away, and
yeah,
um, it's help once you start seeing that and helping people, and you're doing good in the world. It really increases your confidence. But I struggled with it, and I've been on stages, I've been on TV, but this was a huge shift to, what if I do a podcast and no one listens? And my coach is like, okay, then you stop the podcast. Then you
yeah,
don't,
yeah.
okay,
Or
then you did 5 episodes and it didn't work and you pivot and you see what's next. But it turns out I loved it. And I haven't been afraid to ask celebrities, and I've gotten a lot of no's, but I've gotten a lot of yeses too, which is
Mhm.
pretty cool. And that just boosts your credibility a little bit,
Yeah.
and that they love it. Like I had one woman that I had interviewed, an actress, and her PR rep afterwards sent me a note and said that was her favorite interview she'd ever done. I
Oh,
was
that's
like,
wonderful.
oh, thank you.
Yeah.
So
Well,
that helps.
by the way, you mentioned TikTok, and I just want to tell you that I sent my team, my virtual team, a note and said, "Go study this woman's TikTok because we
Oh,
need to be more like her when we grow up." And so, take a look at the strategy behind it. Take a look at the types of posts. Let's talk about how I can use it more effectively because I do not post enough, and
yeah.
it's not so much even the posting enough. It's the not being awkward in that whole, well, what do I need to say? No one cares if I'm doing this today. Really, it's the dismissing the fact that our day-to-day existence does have meaning for other people. Because
Yeah.
like you, I went through the not so much the why me as much as the No one cares if I live a mobile lifestyle and I'm off to another pet sit. Why would they care about that? And yet, when I put out, that I haven't paid a rent or mortgage for 19 months, I get a lot of interest. A lot of people going, how do you do that? How are you reinventing? How do you have the courage to go and do that kind of lifestyle? To me, it's not courage. It's just how I do what I do, right? But
Right.
for other people, it's instructional, and we forget that. So how did you, because I know you had a coach that helped you, but what was your answer to the why me? Why would people bother listening to me?
I just started and I went kind of big. I had, through everything that I had done, became friendly with the former executive producer of the Today Show. And she has a fabulous, for all women this age, the M Factor film, if you haven't seen that. So she had a big journey when she left that to create a documentary about menopause.
Mm.
And and she'd be a great interview for you too, because everybody said, no one's going to give you money to write a documentary about menopause. Nobody
Mhm.
cares. Nobody, and it's blown up worldwide.
Cool.
But I asked Joe to be my first guest, and
Mhm.
she was, and it was so good. And then I just started asking, and people said yes. And then, I mean, now I'm flooded with guests, who want to come on, and I've really got to weed through it. And I've got months and months of episodes pre-recorded, which is fantastic
Yeah.
because I love meeting these women. But it was really just starting. Start it and see. And if it's a bust, it's a bust. And like I said, you did 5 episodes, nobody listened, and you shut it off. You can pull them off the internet, and nobody will be the wiser because nobody listened anyway.
Yeah.
But people listened, and people are listening, and it's pretty good.
That's awesome. Okay, so my three takeaways from that is one, just start. Stop
Yes,
analyzing, stop listening
just
to
do it.
sayers in your heart and your head and outside of you. Just start. Take a step. Two, get into action. Like it really is not just about the that first step, it's about taking action on an ongoing basis. Just taking a step and then another step and asking for what you want and asking for the support. So having a vision, having a something that is pulling you or pushing you or enticing you and being willing to say yes to it and yes to you and then getting going on it. So there's a degree of faith in there as well, whether it's faith in yourself for the journey or just the willingness to take the leap.
Yep.
So was there anything else that was a resource, a tool, or support that you would recommend for people who want to make the leap and are tremulous now?
So you can have analysis paralysis. You are not going to be able to do everything. If you want to write a book, there are things you're not going to be able to do. You're just not going to know how to do it. A podcast, I had no idea what to do. Uh, you're you need to hire people to make you be able to do this.
Yeah.
My guy Steven, I record my podcast, and that's all I do. He
Hmm.
does everything else for me. And every Wednesday it's just done. It's uploaded on YouTube, it's on the RSS feed. I mean, I review everything, but he writes my email to my guest, and he does my show notes, and I make my edits, but that would have stopped me in my tracks. I would
Yes.
not have been able to do that. So whatever that thing is that you want to do, you probably are going to need help, and don't let that, well, I don't know how to do that, so I'm not going to do it.
Mhm.
No, there are so many people out there, and we have this incredible resource called the internet,
Yes.
and there's Fiverr and Upwork and all these places where you can find people to help you get over the hump of, if it's technology. Maybe you don't even know how to do a website. Like maybe you want to start a business and you're not sure. Somebody can help you build a website. You
Mhm.
can go to Etsy, you can go to Shopify. Like there
Yeah.
are things, and there are people who can help you, coach you, help you get started.
Yes. And there's this awesome tool called AI, which will allow you to create all sorts of stuff that we couldn't create before in
Everything.
a fraction of the time. But it helps to have that coach, that person, that expert to tell you what to focus on, what not to focus on, because otherwise there's just like so much that we could be doing and focusing on. So give us a couple of tips in your area of expertise about PR, getting on media, uh, being seen and creating visibility after 50, because as you know, I mentioned at the beginning, sometimes we can become invisible. So how do we get visible
Yeah.
after 50?
It really depends what you want to do. I started writing again in my 50s. I used to write in my 20s. And I love it. And I've written for Southern Living, I've written for Newsweek, Business Insider. There's a great publication called Nifty 50 Plus that I write a lot of articles for about the women on my podcast. So that's one way you can get paid to write, to freelance write. And just like landing in the media or getting your article approved, though, you have to have a good story. You have to have a good hook. You have to have a good pitch. So figuring that out. And I mean, you said it, ChatGPT or AI. Now I've heard Claude is just surpassed ChatGPT. So
Yeah.
I'm going to go check out Claude, even
Yeah.
though ChatGPT is my new best friend and knows everything about me. But I think I might get a new boyfriend in Claude. See how he works. But you using that, you can't use it to write your media pitches. I've actually written about that, but you can use it to help you ideate. You
Okay.
know, I'm a woman over 50. I'm doing X, Y, and Z. Give me some ideas of things I could pitch the media. And then you need to pitch. It's easiest to start in your backyard, start local. People love to work with local. It's harder to get on stations. Well, it's easier now post COVID because of Zoom and things like that. The TV stations are used to it. But if you want to get written up, uh, on TV, those kinds of things in your backyard is the easiest place to start. But it starts with a good story. And it really doesn't matter your age.
Mhm.
Like I said, now with Fox, I've gotten to the point where they're emailing me, hey, can you put together a panel to talk about empty nest? So
Mhm.
they know that we're over 50. They know that's a topic. And she loved it.
Yeah.
The host of the show absolutely loved our panel. So we have a lot of good stuff to share. We have a lot up here. That's what I
Yeah.
always say. We have so much wisdom. Use us.
Potentially, yep. There's lots of wise young people and lots of stupid old people, but potentially because we have experience and expertise, and hopefully we give less fucks now, like you mentioned earlier, because that approval stuff held us back so much in our lives,
Yep.
certainly for me, and for most of my clients. So that combination of not caring and caring profusely, caring about something that is our passion now, it's a really interesting kind of synergistic combo to not care and to care deeply. And it pulls us forward in different ways than it has in the past in my life for me. So very quickly, I want to come back to this idea of pitching. You mentioned don't use AI. Why not? I'm just asking for myself now, but I'm sure other people want to know.
Yeah, they'll know. They'll know. And
Okay.
and it's you have to be able to share what you can offer. And AI doesn't know that. And I mean, my AI knows me really well, but I don't know that AI is going to know the things that specifically that I could talk about that I bring to the table. Like
Yeah.
where I put together that panel, the fact, I came up with this concept of get the friend who's got one going away to college,
Yeah.
me who has two kids in two big cities far away,
Yeah.
and then my other friend who has them local and grandkids. That I came up with that. And I don't know that AI could do that. So
Right.
you really, if that's what you want to do, if you want to be this media person, this expert in
Mhm.
whatever that your space is, you have to prove what you know, not
Right.
what AI knows.
Well, and so I could talk to you for hours, and I know we
Yeah.
need to wrap up here soon, but
Yeah.
I am curious because one of the things that I've noticed is a huge shift in the last couple of years. Shifted my focus from supporting female entrepreneurs to now supporting maturepreneurs, men and women who are 55 plus, and hashtag not done by a long shot. A few years ago, when I made that shift, I had to search far and wide for organizations and coaches and people who are in this sector that weren't talking about ageism or retirement.
Right.
Basically, there was no one talking about the huge demographic, like 80% of us, who are refiring, not retiring. And now you can't throw a rock without hitting a group or an organization or whatever that's dealing with the 55 plus market, which of course makes sense. Biggest cohort in history coming into the entrepreneurial world and shifting.
Right.
And so the conversation is really shifting around that. What have you kind of noticed in terms of that proliferation? Is it still focused on ageism and retirement? Or are people having more conversations about the value that we still have to add versus the why we should go away? or, the kind of rebellion against ageism.
I think this is our story to tell. A lot of the companies, like the big four accounting firms, they push you out at a certain age. The consulting firms push you out. Well, these people aren't ready to stop. They've
Hmm.
got so much experience and contacts and the network. So now's the opportunity to kick in that entrepreneurial piece. Literally, my husband sold his company, and in less than a month, people were calling him for consulting, and he's like, do I really want to work? I'll set a much higher fee than anyone would ever say yes to, and I'll give them 10 hours a week, and everybody said yes.
Yeah.
So he's like, wow, okay. So it really is. It's like you said, the refirement. It's. I don't know that companies are going to hire you. The big consulting firms are not going to. The big accounting firms are not going to. But
Yeah.
a lot of people are going to hire you as a consultant
Yeah.
because of all of that knowledge. And my friends who are all getting pushed out at 60 are all now starting LLCs, consulting firms, and
Yeah.
are doing what they want on their own terms.
Yeah.
Like I said, my husband's working 10 hours a week, making quadruple what he did owning a company, and it's his choice. Does he say yes? Does he say no? And he's loving what he's doing.
Beautiful. And I agree with you. I think that it's amusing to me, silently, or kind of privately amusing, that companies are pushing people out because of ages and because they're too expensive, only to hire them back at two or three or four times what they were
As a
paying
consultant,
because they can't afford the wisdom drain. They can't afford
right?
the experiential and historical frame of reference and the contextual knowledge we have and all of that. And so it's like, if y'all got over ages, you'd be saving a lot of money. But that also means there would be less jobs for us as consultants.
Right.
Not okay. So
Exactly.
tell people just very quickly, what's your business model? How do you make money?
Actually, totally new. I do brand representation. I'm showing these products on TV. I speak, and that's how I do it. And I do same kind of thing with my husband. I do what I want to do when I want to do it. Only take brand deals that are in alignment with what I'm doing at this stage of my life, and it's really fun. Oh, and I'm writing. So I freelance write, which I love too. And yeah, I'm just doing what I want to do.
Sorry, the dog walker just brought back a pack of three dogs, and I didn't want them to start barking while we were talking. Okay, so you've chosen the things that you love to do, and now you're getting people to pay you to do those things, which I always
Yeah.
think is the smartest approach. Figure out what you love to do, and then go find someone who will pay you to do it. I
Yep.
have never applied for a job. I've applied for a job twice in my life. I always just go and say, what do I love? What do I want to do? And then how do I get someone to pay me for it? And I go and make that happen. I think it's a much smarter approach. And it's kind of the status quo now that we're older because we want to do what we want to do, not the
Yeah, and I
obligation.
always tease everybody about why are you getting a job?
Yeah.
And now I have a job. Like I'm a W-2 employee. I haven't
Yeah.
been a W-2 employee in 40 years.
Yes.
So it's pretty funny.
But there's all sorts of benefits to the job that you got, and it's currently in alignment
And
with
I,
exactly what you love, and it serves you in a
yes,
way that you love.
yes,
So you
exactly.
you have a gift for people. Tell them about that.
Yes. So we mentioned AI.
Yep.
If you need some help figuring out what you want to do, I have the way to do things well on AI is prompting it. You have to
Mhm.
know how to prompt AI. So it's a set of prompts that will guide you through ideas of what did you used to love to do, what lights you up, what, and then try to help you figure out what your next chapter looks like.
Beautiful. I love that. I'm going to go and grab it because I created a
Okay.
couple of chats as well about clarifying your vision and then clarifying your purpose. And I just want to see, kind of how this is and where it fits in and so forth. Because we want to play together and cross refer and we serve the same market. And we were talking before the show about how it doesn't matter that we serve the same market in largely the same way or similar ways that overlap. There is a very, very big pie out there in terms of
Yes.
people who need
Huge.
support and help. And I don't even need a whole slice. I need one bite to make a very, very lucrative business because the pie is so huge. So,
Yeah.
and I think it's something also that women do well is co-opetition as opposed to, competition. at least as we get older. We used to be competitive when we were younger because we were pitted against one another. Now it's like, oh, well, that shit's not helpful. So let's actually just
Right.
play together and lift each other up. Okay,
Exactly.
so you do some consulting work and you support them with getting seen and heard and visible. You've got tools that will help people figure out what's next for them. So what's next for you besides your show? What's your kind
I
of big, hairy, audacious vision for the next 5 years or 10 or whatever you're
I'm
looking out to?
Yeah, I'm really, really excited about this new job that I
Yeah.
have. I can't wait to see what it is and go next week. And I hope that they want me several times a month, and I can see my son several times a month. And yeah, I don't know what's next, but I love the media piece of it, and I love sharing this message. And I'm going to keep doing it as long as people will have me on.
I love it. And I think it's indicative, Christina, of a trend that I also see as we get older. We spent our whole lives building our life around our career or our business. Now, perhaps as a result of the wisdom, we're building our business around our life. And so I hear you, in terms of, hey, I get to go visit my kids. So this is helpful for me in terms of how
Yeah,
I want to live my life. So therefore, this job fits. Otherwise, I wouldn't do it just for the money or whatever.
right.
Okay, a couple of really quick little questions and we'll
Okay.
wrap up. Because like I said, I could talk to you
Uh,
forever. I love intelligent women. I love women who are rocking and rolling. I love women who ask. That's such an important component of if you take nothing away from today, then that encouragement to just ask, get
just
over your
ask.
approval stuff, get over the noises in your head and just go ask.
What's the worst that's going to happen? Somebody
Exactly.
says no.
Yeah.
Okay. You've
Yeah.
heard no before.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, even if they say no vehemently and give you a dirty look, it's still not deadly. So just get over it. And
And usually everybody, it's a not now.
yeah,
Most people are not nasty and not, in all the years that I've done stuff, I said with the media thing, I mean, 15 years, one time I had somebody who wasn't nice,
yeah,
like one time of the
yeah.
thousands of pitches. So, yeah, most people, it's just they're busy, they're distracted, that it's just not good timing.
Yes, yeah. And I tell so I'm not curious from a media point of view because my clients always say, well, I don't want to be a bother. I don't want to send them 4 or 5 or 6 emails. I don't want to phone them because they're busy, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And I say, yes, they are busy. And that's a lot of noise that they have to sift through. And so they're not going to hear you the first time. They're probably not going to see you the second time or the third time. What advice do you give people about being persistent, especially when it comes to the media? How do
Yeah,
they
the
do that?
media, yep, you pitch, you follow up, maybe follow up a third time. I say you need to pick up the phone and call
Yep.
for the second one, and then you could follow up with an email, and then you just try again. And
Hmm.
it took me 5 or 6 months to first get on Good Morning Washington. And
Hmm.
then when I did, I was prepared. And even the producer came out and said, wow, you knocked it out of the park. He goes, you can come back anytime. And
Mm,
that opened this door for me.
right.
So I got a lot of no's along the way, a
Yes.
lot.
Yes.
Um, but you've actually inspired me. So I will tell everyone that I am going to take action today. I met someone a few weeks ago whose wife is a producer for one of the national morning shows.
Hmm.
And I sent an email. I'm like, if you don't, I don't, because we had had a couple drinks. We were at an event. And I'm like, if this is awkward. And I didn't hear back. But you know what? I'm going to email him one more time today
Yeah.
with my panel that I just did
Hmm.
and see if all I want's a conversation with her.
That's right. And they are big people. They can say no if it's not no for them.
Yep,
You don't have to
exactly.
decide for them. Just your job is to ask,
Ask.
right?
Yep.
Ask for what you want. Okay, just
So I'm walking the walk.
yes, exactly. Okay. So a couple of quick fire questions and then we're going to wrap up. Tell
Okay.
me what's something that surprised you about reinvention and getting older. What did no one tell you about reinventing yourself?
That I would love it.
Mm,
Like that I would really love it. I think of my mom and my grandmother, and I love it. I love it. I wish I felt a little better, some of
mhm.
my body parts that hurt, but I am much more confident and love what I do than I ever did in my 30s or 40s.
Beautiful. What do you think is one belief that held you back the longest?
Hmm. It would probably just be a confidence thing. Like I didn't, again, like I said before, why does
me?
anybody want to listen? Yeah. Why me? Who wants to
Yeah.
watch me? Who wants to see me? But
And the
I'm
answer
doing
is,
okay.
yeah, the answer is lots of people.
Yeah.
Okay. And what's one final piece of advice you'd like to leave everyone with?
Well, and we've been saying it, but just ask and just do it.
Mm,
Just do it.
yeah.
I will tell you what a coach told me many, many years ago. Imperfect action is better than perfect inaction. And
Yes.
those are words to live by.
Absolutely. So agree. Love that. Say it one more time because that really, I want that to sink into people's hearts.
Yeah. Imperfect action is better than perfect inaction.
Mm. Excellent.
It's a doozy. It's a doozy. It'll sit with you for a long time.
Yes. Yeah, I love that. On that note, my friends, it is time. It's your time. It's time to be the difference that only you can be, because if not now, then when? Thanks for listening. Please subscribe and share this episode. And if you got questions or comments for either Christina or myself, please leave them in the chat or reach out. We're available. Christina, given your website.
Yes, ChristinaDaves.com.
Mhm.
And then I actually have to put the Reinvention Journeys on the podcast page, but it's Reinvention Journeys with a Y. And I think you'll have that too, but that'll
Yeah,
give you the prompting steps to help you find your passion.
exactly. All right. If you've heard something here, and I don't know how you couldn't have, that inspired you or prompted a little thought about, well, maybe go follow that and take action today. I look forward to hearing or seeing you in the media soon. Bye, everybody. Thank you for listening. I'd love it if you left a comment and subscribed. And I encourage you to apply one aha from this interview right away so you can turn your wisdom into wealth and your contribution into positive change. Bye for now.